Ashley Madison user information revealed, a sneak peek at a fancy new watch, and a leash for your drone. Tech News Tonight is next.
This is Twit.
This is Tech News Tonight, episode number 406 for Wednesday, August 19th, 2015. This episode of Tech News Tonight is brought to you by Wealthfront. Wealthfront is a low-cost, automated investment service that is the most sophisticated way for you to invest your money. Whether you've got millions or if you're just starting out, visit wealthfront.com/TN2. You can sign up and get your free personalized investment portfolio. That's wealthfront.com/TN2. Welcome. I am Megan Maroney. Let's get to today's big tech news. Last month, we told you about a group of hackers that were apparently very much against adultery. They threatened to expose personal information from dating site ashleymadison.com if the site refused to close up shop. The website did not cave to the hackers' demands, and today client information was released first on the dark web, next on Reddit, and finally fashioned into a handy searchable database where you or your spouse can find out if your information is in there. Now, every time my secret sources tried to check this website, it was down, as you see here. For the record, Ashley Madison is not just for cheaters. It's also for those interested in casual relationships. And since we're not really dealing in true authenticity here, it's entirely possible that the lists of information has been doctored. And just because someone's name and information is in there does not necessarily mean that they use the site. However, Avid Life Media, the company who owns Ashley Madison, has confirmed that at least some of the data released is from Ashley Madison customers. Also, multiple sources report finding their personal information in the data dump. New numbers from intuitive analytics platform Parsley say that Facebook has not only beaten Google in referrals to news stories, it is now well ahead of the search engine. Facebook accounted for about 43% of traffic to news sites, while Google accounted for just 38%. Now, I should say that this statistic is based on Parsley's client list, which is an impressive portfolio of news sites, including Wired, The Atlantic, Reuters, The Daily Telegraph, Mashable, The Next Web, and Business Insider. Also, while no one denies the increase in social news sharing, Parsley says that a change in Google's referral practices may also have played a role. Google has stopped showing publishers what keywords were used to direct the most traffic to their articles for security reasons, or possibly because they don't want publishers to decrypt their secret sauce algorithm. Samsung offered a little teaser today on the new Samsung Gear 2 smartwatch that TechCrunch is calling the answer to the Apple Watch. Now, we don't know very much. It's round. It does look very cool. My sources say it uses Tizen again instead of Android Wear, and Samsung is probably planning a big unveil at IFA. That's the annual Mini Mobile World Congress Consumer Electronics Show held in Berlin on September 5th. Does your drone need a leash? That is the question that Make Magazine is asking in their review of the PhotoKite Fi. It's a fold-up, lightweight drone that just launched an Indiegogo campaign. You can back the project and possibly get yourself a leashed drone for only $279. Make says that a tethered drone reduces the overall weight of the copter by removing the remote control aspect. So it's a bit like a kite. You can check it out. The link is up on our Facebook page. Coming up, a look inside the OnHub, and can Google protect our privacy? But first, this episode is brought to you by Wealthfront. You know that you should be investing your money for the long term for you and your family's financial health, and you probably wondered how you should do it. Trying to do it yourself, especially the right way, is very complex. It's also time-consuming. You don't have time for that. Luckily, there's Wealthfront. Traditional advisors charge huge fees between 1% and 3% of what you've got under management, plus hidden fees for transactions and changes. Now, Wealthfront makes it easy for anyone to access world-class long-term investment management. You can get started investing today at a minimum of only $500. You sign up for an account at wealthfront.com. It only takes a few minutes, and then it goes right to work. It will monitor your portfolios round the clock and take action as soon as an opportunity arises. So whether you're investing for retirement or a different long-term goal, Wealthfront automatically rebalances your portfolio and reinvests your dividends, all commission-free. Wealthfront manages over $2.4 billion in client assets, and it's grown over 20 times in the past 2 years. So join Wealthfront and start investing your money the right way today. Visit wealthfront.com/TN2 to sign up and get your free personalized investment portfolio. You'll see the customized allocation they recommend for your profile. And just for Twit listeners, if you sign up to invest, Wealthfront will manage your first $15,000 entirely free of charge for life. Claim your offer today at wealthfront.com/TN2. For compliance purposes, I have to tell you that Wealthfront Incorporated is an SEC-registered investment advisor. Brokerage services are offered through Wealthfront Brokerage Corporation, member FINRA, and SIPC. This is not a solicitation to buy or sell securities. Investing in securities involves risk, and there is a possibility of losing money. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Please visit wealthfront.com to read their full disclosure. Yesterday, Google announced OnHub, a wireless router that you control with an app. Here to give us his thoughts on what this means is Jason Cross, executive editor at Greenbot, a site devoted to all things Android. Welcome, Jason.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on. So will the OnHub let every member of my 5-person family stream the entertainment of their choice all at once so that none of us have to ever compromise again?
That's the idea. That's what they promise. I mean, up to the limit of your internet connection, I guess. But yeah, the idea is that they have a big antenna array in there and 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz, 6 antennas each, and a interference detector and all kinds of stuff. And it will be smart about how much bandwidth it gives to which devices. And it'll be easy to set up because you do it with your phone instead of having to log into some obtuse web page or install software on your PC or anything like that.
So from what I've been reading about it, it basically, I mean, we've just been using our Wi-Fi routers in a total, like now we use Wi-Fi, we use devices in a totally different way than our old routers were designed. And so really, like, has there been no new technology like this? Is this going to be radically new, or is it something we've kind of seen, especially
Not really. I mean, it's not out yet. Nobody's like tested one independently and can tell you. But routers now, the high-end expensive routers, have a lot of sort of dynamic quality of service stuff built in where they'll know that this is a Skype call and they'll give priority to that as opposed to some download that's going on. So there are routers that will do that. Maybe this one does it better. Maybe it's smarter about it. And we'll have to wait till we test them to find that out.
So that router that is the smart router that you're talking about, is that around $200 also? This is what this one is going to be.
You start to pay, this is actually a pretty good deal. You start to pay well more than $200 for 2.4 and 5 gigahertz routers with 6 antennas and smart QoS and stuff. Those get to be $300, $400. You can spend a lot of money on this. And
this one is supposed to contain 13 internal antennas, right?
13 if you count. Well, there's 6 for 2.4 gigahertz and 6.5 for 5 gigahertz. It's kind of doubling it up, right? So they're kind of cheating. And then there's a antenna to detect interference. So
they partnered with TP-Link. Do you know a lot about TP-Link? Who are they?
Yeah, they make a lot of networking gear. They're really popular in the sort of home plug and smart home wireless connecting, networking gear. So you find a lot of their stuff in Best Buys and stuff like that.
So it's also pretty. I mean, I have the Amazon Echo, which I love, and it looks a little bit like that, but even prettier, the nicer colors, and no more of those flashing lights. I mean, do you think that is what will appeal to the average person also?
I think that's part of it. I think that's also Google trying to change the way people use it. We stick our routers off in some corner because they're a mess, and that's really not a good place for them to be. They'll work a lot better if they're kind of centrally located out in the open. So they're trying to get people to do that. They're trying to say, hey, put it out in the open where people will see it, but it's also going to work better. So that's kind of the point of that.
So this is apparently like one of their first Internet of Things devices, and it's a hub. So is there any talk of will there be like a speaker in there? Will we be able to like use OK Google with it?
It's interesting. There's it does support their new Internet of Things protocol. It supports Zigbee's protocol for the Internet of Things stuff. It's got Bluetooth in there, but they haven't really said anything about what specifically it does. I think those features are coming later. It does have a speaker. Like you said, it looks like the Amazon Echo, and it's got a speaker up top, a 3-watt speaker. But I don't think we're going to be doing Google Now stuff with it at all because it doesn't appear to have a mic. And you would need an array mic so that you could stand anywhere in the room and talk to it. And they didn't say anything about that. It's not on the spec sheet or anything. So I don't think this is going to be a device we talk to, though it may talk to us depending on what we're doing with our smart devices around the home.
So, I mean, Google is mostly known for software, but they've created hardware before. I mean, how are they with hardware compared to software?
Like you said, they haven't made a lot of hardware before, and usually when they do make hardware, it's in conjunction with some partner. All of their Nexus phones, for example, that's other people making hardware. And this is the same sort of thing as that. They're finding a partner who's built a lot of these things before, can build it to their spec, and they're sort of providing the software side of it. That's worked really well in the past with all the Nexus products and stuff. So I don't think this is going to be any different.
So the big question with Google that everyone asks or should ask is privacy. Should we be concerned with privacy with OnHub?
There were a lot of people making a lot of noise about this because they don't want Google knowing everything they do on their internet. They actually put up a page on their support site about what information does this thing collect and what does it not collect. And it's really nothing to be worried about. It collects no personal information like what websites am I going to and stuff like that. It does collect information that will help them make the product better, like are you connected to a PPOE or connection, or how much bandwidth do you use at what time, which of the different devices connected to your network are using more bandwidth more often. Those sorts of things that are going to help them optimize it better. And it does all the basic status stuff like, how much of its RAM is it using? How much CPU is it using? Crash reports, stuff like that. There is a privacy setting in the app, so you can turn that stuff off, but it's not sending any personally identifiable information out there. And it's not sending any information about like which sites you're going to or any of that stuff. It's not, even when you have the privacy stuff enabled and you're letting them get all the information, they're not grabbing all that info.
So you had a great tweet today. You said that people, you hear a lot of people saying, I want all my devices to make super smart decisions on my behalf, but I don't want them to know anything about me. Now, is there a happy medium somewhere between that, or do we really have to? What's your thought? It sounds like you're a bit frustrated with people who are demanding all of this from their devices, but then...
I mean, some of that's the tech bubble I live in. I think the regular people don't care and they just give away all their information. I mean, see what people post on Facebook, for God's sakes. I mean, I don't think people care that much about privacy. But we do expect everything to like work around our schedule and know our preferences and all this other stuff. But we don't want them to know our preferences or know our schedule or know where we are or any of this other information. That it's scary when they know this. We're going to have to give up some of our privacy and information to know some of this stuff. That being said, you don't always need to give a server somewhere out there on the internet all your information to get these sort of features. For example, what Apple's doing in iOS 9, a lot of Siri's smart recommendation and knowing about your schedule and preferences and stuff is done on device instead of being sent out to some cloud storage thing from Apple and being done there, which is the way that Google does it. So there are pros and cons to each approach, but we can't expect all our smart devices to be so smart about everything that we want without knowing anything about us.
Well, if that aspect of iOS 9 really succeeds, I mean, if Apple is really able to keep that on device, and if Siri is able to be as effective as Google now, do you think that Google would adopt that, or do you think they really do make their business on this information?
I don't think so. I think even if they're not making their business on this information, even if they're not selling it or using it to target ads to you or anything like that, I think it's part of Google's culture that they want this stuff maybe even stored and encrypted and all that on their servers, but they want you to be able to access it from anywhere. The problem with something being all done on device is when I go to some other device, it doesn't know all of my preferences and all the things that I do and what my schedule is and all that. And Google's a big believer in the internet as a way for you to go anywhere and have your information follow you, which they think is a very powerful thing, and it is. But it's also very scary that all your information's out there on the internet waiting for somebody to steal it.
Right. And then there's that idea of like, everyone's like, well, I don't do anything wrong. And, it's like you might not, but there are other bigger reasons and other reasons why people might want to protect their information besides doing wrong things.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I don't believe that if you've done nothing wrong, you've got nothing to hide sort of situation. That's not true.
So what about security? I think they made a big deal about passwords. That was a big hassle for people with Wi-Fi passwords and, the little one that you have to share on a Post-it, and it's always a million numbers. And they say you can just share the password with a friend through an app. That doesn't sound safe to me, but I assume
the setup for the device is all done via an app instead of, via some weird web page login or log in on your PC, which is easy for people because people understand how to use apps. And if, they keep the language simple, that's good. They store your Wi-Fi password encrypted on your device in that app. They don't send that to the cloud. So if you ever want to share it to somebody, you can from right within the app, just like text it to your friend or something and usually it's their mobile device that they're trying to get on your network anyway. So they can just have it right there, copy it, paste it into the thing, and there you go. So it's not the most secure thing in the world, but putting Post-its up around your house is much worse.
That's true. Or having a bunch of people knowing your password. It's exactly right. So you also have a review up on Greenbot of the OnePlus 2. What are your quick initial impressions? Well,
OnePlus talks a big game. They always say never settle. They call it the flagship killer and stuff. And that's a lot of hyperbole. It is a really good phone for its price point. It's an under $400 phone. The 64 gigabyte version with 4 gigs of RAM is $389. That's a really good price. It does a lot of things really well, but it's also missing a lot of features you do get on those $700 phones, like wireless charging or fast charging or NFC. So it's no flagship killer, but if you're looking for a sub $400 unlocked phone, you can take around any GSM carrier. It's a pretty good deal.
Well, you can read Jason's full interview at Greenbot. He's the executive editor at Greenbot, and on Twitter, JasonCross00. Thank you so much for joining us, Jason.
Thanks so much.
Take care. Now, if you are a fan of Andy Weir's novel, The Martian, and you don't want to hear any spoilers for the movie coming out this fall, then please just shut your eyes until I say that you can open them again. The second trailer is out, and all I can say is, in your face, Neil Armstrong. Really excited about this movie.
I guarantee you that at some point, everything's going to go south on you.
Ready?
And you're going to say, this is it. This is how I end.
Commander, Mark is dead. We have to go now.
So if you want to wait to see who the cast is, you can open your eyes now, just about now, I think. And I am really excited about this. I'm interested in how they'll tell the story, the special effects, everything. From what I can tell, the film is currently not rated. And I will be curious if they clean up the language of the main character or the potty-mouthed PR person who was, for the record, my favorite character, in order to get a PG-13 rating. If you're as excited about this movie as I am, you can let me know on our Facebook page. We're at facebook.com/technewstonight with the number 2. And that is it for this edition of Tech News Tonight. You can subscribe to the show at Stitcher or iTunes or anywhere where fine podcasts are streamed. You'll see all the options at twit.tv/TN2. And you can write to us at TN2@twit.tv and watch live every weekday at 4 p.m. Pacific. And don't miss our morning news program, Tech News Today, every weekday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm Megan Maroney. Thanks for watching.
Bandwidth for Tech News Tonight is brought to you by CashFly.com.